My lifeguard community.
Record doors open.
You know what? Didn't record me.
Is a mouthful of stuff. You gonna say hi, or you just gonna just not say
How
nothing?
y'all doing today? Hi.
He's trying
Hello.
to multitask. You know the boy struggles. My brother Kindred is in the building as always, whether he's physically here or not.
Bread.
So this is my rant for the day, and it comes off of a post that I seen on Facebook, and it was the brother had wonderful things to say. Well, it wasn't wonderful because what he was reporting on was horrible, because he was talking about what had happened, and it was what we had talked about earlier, how the police broke into a church and stole the milk and magnesia, in which helps the people who have been tear gassed. Evidently, you can mix it with water, and it's cool. So there was one thing that he said, though, because they were going back and forth. The reporter was a professor, I believe, from D.C., and she had asked him, well, what's going on with the quote-unquote church leaders? And she didn't say quote-unquote. That's what I'm saying, because that's what I believe they are, quote-unquote church leaders. And he came out and he said, well, they came out and prayed and it was good, but they wanted us to disperse, and they weren't necessarily on our side, so evidently they were on the other side. Then he went on to say that you can't cure 400 years of oppression with one prayer. And he said, well, I do believe in prayer and so on and so forth. I grew up in the church, and he understands the power of prayer. On one hand, he had a good point. You can't fix anything with one prayer. With one prayer. It's not going to fix like that. The only thing you get automatically is knowledge. But for change, it does take time. Now, the flip side of that is, for me, you can't change the attitude that society has towards a certain community with one riot, with one protest, with one community outrage movement. You need multiples. You need to be able to stand up on a day-to-day basis and say, you know what, this old way we've been living isn't good. This old way of us doing things isn't good anymore. If you want change, don't just go out and expect it just to happen, because you go out and you break a couple of windows, you riot for a week or so. It's not going to happen. It's going to take actual change once the dust settles, once the police officer gets fired, once the wrongful civil suit comes into play, once that's settled and all the dust settles. Who's going to stand up out of all this rubble? Who's going to be the leaders, quote unquote, that we're going to have to go to in order to go to the next step in this? Because we booed Jesse Jackson, thank goodness. Because any man who goes into a tragedy and then has the nerve to ask for money does not need a title anymore. He has personally become a charlatan. For anybody who, if you're going to denounce Al Sharpton for him coming up and doing his speech and say you don't need him, then you need to step up. If you're going to say what we don't need, then what do we need? If you're going to say that, hey, this is not important, and we don't need this dude saying this, and we don't need this dude talking about us, we're warriors, we got this, we are soldiers. No, you're not. You're losing. Any good movement needs a leader. Any good movement needs structure. To say that you're all out here, yeah, we soldiers, we doing this, we got this, this is our neighborhood. No, it's not your neighborhood. None of your names is on the near street. You don't own that near block. You may own a business or two, but do you own the building that it's in?